Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today I've got something really shocking and honestly quite frightening to share with you. So, Jared Bernstein, the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors to the President of the United States, holds a seriously high-profile position, right? I mean, you'd expect someone in that role to have a solid grasp of economics, at the very least, the basics. Because let's face it, the decisions this person makes about economic policy have a huge impact on all of us. Now, if you've been following my videos, you know I've been harping on about the national debt crisis for a while now. It's a big deal, folks. I've been explaining how it's wreaking havoc on our economy and our nation. I mean, $34 trillion in debt? That's just not sustainable, and we all know it's heading for disaster sooner or later. But here's the kicker. Jared Bernstein wants us to believe that the United States can never go bankrupt. Why? Because apparently, we can just fire up the old money printer and presto, all our problems vanish. Sounds too good to be true, right? But hold on, someone asks him a simple, yet incredibly logical question. If the government can simply print money, why do we need to borrow? I mean, if we've got a money printer that can churn out cash endlessly, why rack up debt? Now, this might seem like a no-brainer to anyone who's ever cracked open an economics textbook or bothered to understand how the US government functions. But for the top economic advisor to the president, well, you'd expect him to ace this question, right? So, I want you to watch this clip of Jared Bernstein just struggling a tad, and then drop me a comment below. Let me know what you think about it. I'm really curious to hear your take. Alright, let's roll the tape.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar, so why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to, I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, cause it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
Alright, let's break this down. It's common knowledge that the United States government doesn't physically print money. Increasing the cash supply directly correlates with inflation, a lesson we learned vividly a few years back during the stimulus checks and PPP program for small businesses. Instead of printing cash, the government borrows money by selling its debt. Traditionally, foreign governments and investors considered US treasuries the safest investment. However, times have changed, and that perception isn't as solid anymore. The main issue arises if the government struggles to find buyers for its debt. Just like individuals, if the government spends more than it earns, it's unsustainable. Without lenders, the government can't function. That's why it's willing to offer higher interest rates to attract hesitant investors. But this perpetuates a vicious cycle of increased government spending. On the flip side, the Federal Reserve can essentially conjure money to buy US government debt, albeit with more complexity than I've outlined here. Now, after watching Jared Bernstein's response, the question that nags at me is, why did he find it so tough to answer such a seemingly straightforward question? Was it genuinely challenging, or was there something more? Could it be that answering would expose flaws in the system? I'm curious to hear your take. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, and see you tomorrow.